Chosen one, what if I told you that the sexual desire that tries to dominate you isn't random at all? That it's not just biology, not just a fleeting impulse, but a coded attack, a calculated strike in a spiritual war that's been raging against your soul since the moment you arrived on this earth. You were never meant to fit into this world because you were chosen to awaken, rise and lead. And the forces that rule this system, they've always known. That's why they've targeted your purity, your energy, your sacred fire from the very beginning. Have you ever wondered why your battles feel more intense than those around you? Why certain temptations come for you with a force that others seem blind to? Why your mind feels pulled in directions you never even consciously chose? It's because they recognize who you are. Even when you forget, they remember. Since the moment you were born, something about you stood out. You questioned the world's narrative, even as a child. You felt energies others couldn't explain. You saw through masks, through lies, through illusions. While many were seduced by the noise, your soul was restless, searching for truth. And the truth is dangerous in a world built on deception. That's why the attacks against you were never just physical. They were spiritual, emotional, energetic. The cravings you wrestle with are not just lust, they are weapons. Frequencies designed to pull you off your path, to weaken your spiritual armor, to drain your divine power before it can fully rise. Why else would every form of entertainment be saturated with sexual energy? Why else would your screen flood with temptation the moment you begin seeking higher truths? Because they know that when a chosen one becomes celibate, aligned and mastered in their energy, they become unshakable, unstoppable, a beacon of light that cannot be dimmed, and that terrifies them. Chosen one, if you've been feeling this war within you, this push and pull between your spirit and your flesh, understand that it's because you're nearing a breakthrough. The pressure intensifies right before the shift. You were called to break this cycle, not to be broken by it. You were called to govern your vessel, not to be enslaved by it. And the moment you begin mastering this force, everything around you will start to change. Before we dive deeper into this truth, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you who has supported this channel through Super Thanks. Your generosity helps us keep these messages flowing to those who need them most. And whether you donate or not, know that I am deeply grateful for your presence here. Just by listening, by choosing to awaken, you are walking in purpose. Now, if your spirit is already resonating with this message, if you feel that inner knowing rising, I want you to type 999 in the comments right now. This is your confirmation. You are not alone, you are chosen, and this is your moment to rise. Let's go deeper. God's chosen ones, that sexual desire that dominates you is not random, it's spiritual warfare. You feel it, don't you? That inner battle that rises and rages like a storm, the constant tug of war between your sacred calling and the temptations trying to pull you off course. One moment you're connected to your divine purpose, the next a wave of desire sweeps in, tempting you to seek escape instead of expansion. But here's the truth you need to hear, chosen one, that war within you is not a sign of failure, it is the very proof of your awakening. Why would darkness fight so hard if there weren't something extraordinary inside you trying to break free? Why would temptation be so loud if your purpose weren't so profound? The cravings you feel aren't random. They're not simply biological impulses. They are spiritual data showing you exactly where the enemy is trying to distract, disempower, and derail you. The more you awaken, the more you will sense this battle intensify. But chosen one, you are not your urges. You were called to master them. Have you noticed it yet? They couldn't break you in the physical, so now they come for your focus. They couldn't silence your voice, so they try to seduce your spirit. But look at how far you've come already. You're seeing through the game now, aren't you? Have you caught yourself lately, noticing how certain thoughts drain your energy, how certain habits lower your frequency, how a quick indulgence leaves a lingering sense of heaviness? This is awareness, and once awareness takes root, the enemy's grip begins to slip. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. This is not about shame or guilt. It is about understanding. Once you know the playbook, you can choose a different path. Chosen one, there's a reason you no longer find satisfaction in cheap thrills. Why shallow pleasures feel hollow. Why the world's distractions no longer hold the same appeal. Because your soul is evolving. You are outgrowing the matrix of illusion that once kept you bound. But ask yourself, how often do you still seek escape instead of elevation? How often do you reach for comfort instead of courage? This is the crux of spiritual warfare. It doesn't always appear as a demon in the shadows. Sometimes it's an innocent scroll through your phone, a fleeting fantasy, a harmless indulgence that plants a seed of distraction. But every time you choose discipline over desire, you win. Every moment you hold your ground, you reclaim your crown. Remember the wisdom of Proverbs 25:28. Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. Your self-control is a fortress. Chosen one, guard it. Consider the example of Oprah Winfrey. Early in her career, she battled personal insecurities and a tendency toward emotional eating, an urge rooted in childhood trauma. Through discipline and inner work, she transformed that energy into vision and purpose, building a global legacy. Or reflect on Leonardo da Vinci, who famously channeled his immense creative and sensual energy into art, invention, and discovery, refusing to let fleeting desires waste the genius within him. You too have that power. Sexual energy is not meant to consume you, it is meant to fuel you. It is life force. When you transmute it into purpose, you become a force the enemy fears. They do not fear your physical form, they fear the moment you awaken fully to your divine consciousness. For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Chosen one, this is your inheritance. Will you claim it? The greatest spiritual masters understood this truth. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius practiced daily restraint, believing that mastering desire was key to inner freedom. Ancient mystics across every tradition taught the same. The energy that tempts you is sacred. It holds the potential to create worlds or destroy them. The system around you wants you weak, distracted, addicted. But what if instead you chose to be dangerous to the system? What if you mastered the force within you and used it to fuel vision, healing, and leadership? Imagine what you could accomplish. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. James 1:12. But I must be honest, this path isn't easy. Breaking the cycle is one of the hardest battles a chosen one will face. You will stumble. You will face moments where the wave of desire feels overwhelming. But understand this, stumbling is not the same as failing. Every battle refines you. Every test strengthens you. Look at the story of Nelson Mandela. Imprisoned for 27 years, facing isolation and despair, he disciplined his mind and spirit, refusing to let dark forces consume him. When he emerged, he transformed a nation. You are being built for a mission greater than your current struggles. Can you trust the process? So when the next wave of desire comes, and it will, pause. Breathe. Feel the energy rising, but do not let it rule you. Instead, redirect it toward your purpose. You are not here to be a slave to your urges. You are here to master your energy and walk in divine alignment. Ask yourself, who would I become if I mastered this force within me? What gifts would awaken? What timelines would shift? The answer is waiting on the other side of your discipline. Consider Nikola Tesla, who believed that celibacy enhanced his creativity and focus, allowing him to channel revolutionary ideas that would reshape the world. His example proves this truth. When you direct your vital energy toward purpose, you become unstoppable. The same is true for you, chosen one. This is why you're here. This is why you were led to this moment. Your higher self is calling. Will you answer? So flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. Let the masses chase fleeting pleasure. You are here to chase eternal purpose. That is why this message found you now, because you are ready to reclaim your soul, ready to awaken hidden gifts, ready to rise into your true divine self. The power is within you. It always has been. And now is your time to take it back. Chosen one, have you begun to notice the pattern yet? The deeper your spiritual awareness grows, the sharper the battlefield becomes. The more you awaken, the more the shadows attempt to reassert their grip. It is no coincidence that as your clarity increases, so too do the cravings, distractions, and temptations that swirl around you. Why does this happen? Because the moment you start seeing through the illusion, the matrix that enslaves the masses, you become a danger to the system. You become a force that must be subdued. But ask yourself, if your awakening wasn't real, Why would the resistance intensify the moment you elevate? Why would unseen forces fight so hard to cloud your mind if your light wasn't threatening their control? The truth is simple yet profound. They fear you, not just you as a person, but the purpose and power that you carry. You were never made for comfort or conformity. You were forged for clarity, for calling. You were chosen to carry light into the darkest of places, places where others fear to tread. And that light, it begins within your very essence, your energy, your life force, your sexual vitality. Understand this, your sexual energy is not just about pleasure. It is the raw seed of creation itself. It is the core of manifestation, the driver of vision and purpose. That is why the enemy targets it so aggressively. If they can distort this sacred force, they can distort your destiny. If they can bind you through addiction and shame, they can mute your spiritual voice. Are you beginning to see why this battle feels so personal? Look around and observe the landscape. Isn't it true that nearly every medium is hypersexualized, from advertisements to music, to influencers, even some so-called spiritual platforms? Why do you think that is? Because the system profits when you are overstimulated, disoriented, and disconnected from your deeper self. It wants you constantly chasing fleeting pleasure, never creating lasting purpose. But what happens the moment you redirect that energy inward? What happens when you choose discipline over indulgence? You begin to rebuild your inner kingdom. Your cravings become fuel for creation. Your fire, once scattered, becomes focused power. As Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness. You are engaged in a spiritual war, and your mastery of this energy is a decisive weapon. Consider the example of David Beckham. Early in his career, surrounded by fame and temptation, he openly struggled with discipline. Over time, through focus and inner strength, he mastered his urges, sustaining both his family life and professional excellence. Or take Queen Elizabeth I, who chose to remain celibate, channeling her immense energy into leadership, politics, and the expansion of her empire. They understood what many forget: redirected desire births legacy. Are you willing to walk this path? And I know you may have carried guilt for your desires, for stumbling into familiar traps. But listen carefully now. Desire itself is not evil. It is divine energy misdirected. You are not weak because you feel it. You are powerful because you are learning to transmute it. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. Each time you whisper, "Not today," you are shifting timelines. You are anchoring your higher self into this dimension. Are you willing to keep saying yes to your divine self, even when the pressure mounts? Of course, many around you may not understand this path. They may mock your discipline, dismiss your celibacy, label you as extreme or fanatical. But pause for a moment. Why does your choice make them so uncomfortable? Could it be that your inner strength confronts their own unhealed desires? Could it be that your restraint awakens something ancient and royal within their own spirit, something they've been running from? Remember Jesus' words in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Your light exposes what others have buried. Do not shrink back." It is likely you've walked through seasons of loneliness, haven't you? Times when the noise of the world faded and your soul yearned for deeper connection, yet no one seemed to match your frequency. This is not failure, this is the chosen path. Isolation is not punishment, it is preparation. In solitude, you forge strength. In silence, you hear the voice of God. Think of Nikola Tesla again, a man who embraced solitude and celibacy, transmuting immense energy into innovations that altered human history. You are being prepared for a mission greater than fleeting companionship. Are you willing to trust this process, even when it feels lonely? Now understand this. The sexual desire you feel so intensely is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is revealing the magnitude of the power you carry. Every time you face this force and choose mastery over submission, you grow stronger. You learn to face your inner chaos and choose divine order. You hear your flesh scream, and yet you answer with spirit. So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. Galatians 5:16. This is the sacred art of transmutation, the key to unlocking your next level. Look to the story of Mahatma Gandhi, who deliberately chose celibacy later in life to preserve and channel his inner energy toward the liberation of his people. He understood that unchecked desire scatters power, while disciplined energy shapes history, and so must you, chosen one. Will you allow this sacred fire to master you, or will you master it and reshape your destiny? Do you feel it stirring inside you now, chosen one? That unmistakable shift where temptation no longer feels like defeat, but invitation, an invitation to mastery, to transformation, to divine power. Have you begun to sense the moment when what once enslaved you now stands as your teacher, when your deepest cravings become the doorway to your highest awakening? This is the hidden alchemy of the chosen. It is the secret the enemy never wanted you to discover, that within every shadow lies untapped power, and within every lustful pull lies latent light. You were not called to suppress or shame your desires. You were called to transmute them, pain into power, lust into light, desire into destiny. This is why your battle has been so fierce. The greater the purpose, the greater the purification. And understand this: when you begin to master your energy, the world responds in kind. The frequency you emit begins to shift. Your eyes open wider, seeing through facades and illusions. Your thoughts sharpen, no longer scattered by base impulses. Your spirit starts to attract divine alignments, real love, sacred guidance, the relationships ordained for your highest path. Have you noticed this already? The counterfeit fades away, the empty allure of shallow connections loses its grip, and in its place the people, opportunities and blessings you were truly meant to receive begin to flow toward you. But ask yourself, are you truly ready to receive them? Because your readiness is not based on your longing, it is based on your alignment. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Are you delighting in divine discipline, or still clinging to counterfeit comfort? Chosen one, remember this truth: the enemy never wastes time on the ordinary. If your life has been a battleground of lust, confusion and temptation, it is not because you are weak, it is because you are dangerous. Because your energy is rare, your soul is ancient, your potential limitless, but only if you stop leaking it. Look at the example of Martin Luther King Jr. Amidst unimaginable pressure and temptation, he chose to discipline his inner life so that he could carry the weight of his divine mission. The cost of leaking your energy is too high. Every time you pour your sacred essence into a screen, a fantasy or a fleeting moment, you feed a system designed to keep you small, asleep and enslaved. And in return, you feel drained, empty, disconnected. Is that not what you've experienced? This is no accident. It is engineered. They don't need to chain your body if they can enslave your soul. That here is the sacred secret they never taught you. Your sexual energy is the very force that births galaxies. It is the creative fire of the universe, placed within you to shape reality, not to be wasted in shadows. When you withhold it with intention, it doesn't vanish, it transforms. It rises through your being, opening your spiritual sight, awakening your voice, activating your gifts and your vision. Have you ever wondered why certain spiritual masters radiate such undeniable presence? Why they move through the world with power, clarity, and magnetism? Because they have mastered the art of transmutation. You too can walk this path. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. Will you choose hope, or will you continue feeding the system designed to drain you? This is why the greatest prophets, sages, and chosen vessels throughout history were always tested by desire. From Joseph in Egypt, who resisted the seductive pull of Potiphar's wife and was elevated because of it, to Buddha, who faced and overcame the temptations of Mara under the Bodhi tree. The pattern is clear. To carry divine light, one must first prove they can hold divine fire, and that fire will burn. It will consume every false identity, every counterfeit craving, every addiction masquerading as fulfillment. You will be forced to choose fleeting pleasure or eternal power. But once you pass through this crucible, you will no longer be controlled by the flesh. You will walk in spirit. You will become untouchable. This is why you've been feeling the intensity so strongly in recent days. Have you noticed it? Old patterns resurfacing, desires flaring louder than ever. It is not regression, it is refinement. Your soul is leveling up, and right before the shift comes the storm, not to destroy you, but to test your foundation, to ask, are you truly ready for the next dimension of purpose? Will you rise or will you retreat? Remember the words of 1 Peter 5:8 through 10. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you and make you strong, firm and steadfast. You were never meant to fight this war with willpower alone. You need alignment. You need spiritual discipline, fasting, prayer, breathwork, truth-speaking. These are not minor practices. They are weapons of warfare. You are not merely resisting lust. You are rising into your royal role. And as you do, chosen one, expect the landscape around you to shift. With every decision toward sacredness, you reclaim a piece of your kingdom. And you will witness a curious phenomenon. As your power returns, people will begin to perceive you differently. Some will be drawn to your presence, unable to articulate why. Others will be repelled, even offended by your radiance. Do not shrink, do not explain. Your energy will expose what they have buried. It is not your job to make others comfortable with your light. You were not sent here for comfort. You were sent to shake the system awake. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Are ye ready to arise? Look at the example of Muhammad Ali, a man who embraced spiritual discipline in every aspect of his life. His refusal to bow to worldly pressures, even at the cost of fame and fortune, allowed him to embody an unshakable legacy. You are being called to that same level of unwavering integrity. Will you answer the call? Chosen one, have you noticed the pattern? Pleasure is always offered as the quick solution, the instant escape from boredom, loneliness, pain, or that deep ache you can't seem to shake. The world markets it to you relentlessly, in the name of self-care, stress relief, fun. But what if I told you that ache was never meant to be numbed? What if the very void you feel is the voice of your spirit calling you home? That emptiness in your chest is not lust, it is longing. Longing to remember who you are beneath the programming, longing to return to your original design. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I feel this hunger so strongly when others around me seem content to stay asleep? Why does the noise of the world feel so loud, so fake, so exhausting to your soul? Because you were never meant to drown your divinity in distraction. That restlessness is your soul knocking on the walls of your flesh, begging you to stop giving away your power to temporary things. You've tasted what the world offers, and it left you empty, didn't it? Because your spirit was never meant to feast on imitation light. Why spend money on what is not bread, and your labor on what does not satisfy? Isaiah 55:20. Why me? Why do I feel this way when no one else around me seems to care? Why am I so sensitive to energy, to sin, to silence? Because, chosen one, you are coded differently. You carry a mission sealed into the fabric of your soul, one incompatible with mediocrity. It requires pruning, purity, and yes, pain. Consider the story of Rosa Parks, a simple act of resistance born out of deep conviction, not comfort. She had to endure isolation and threats to walk in her calling. You too are being refined for a mission that will impact generations. Will you embrace it, or will you numb it away? No one told you that awakening would feel like breaking, that becoming whole would first mean falling apart. But this is how your soul purges the false programming, how you shed the chains you didn't even know you were wearing. And at the center of that purge is your desire, that raw, primal part of you the world has tried to hijack since you were young. Have you asked why lust is so heavily weaponized against chosen ones? Why it's pushed at every turn? Because lust is one of the most powerful traps. It mimics connection without offering covenant. It gives the illusion of love without the depth of spirit. It opens the body but closes the soul. And for a chosen one, that trade is far too expensive. Every time you surrender to lower urges, you delay the arrival of your higher self. But I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others I myself should be disqualified. 1 Corinthians 9:27. Are you willing to discipline your vessel so your message can carry pure power? But this battle is not about shame. It is about awakening. Your urges are not evil. They are untrained energy. Wildfire meant to be guided, not extinguished. That very fire, when channeled, can birth healing, art, wisdom, and legacy. Think of Michelangelo, who transmuted deep, often tormented passion into some of the most transcendent works of art the world has ever seen. You feel things deeply because you are meant to create deeply. You crave intensity because you carry intensity. But the world taught you to waste that depth on fleeting pleasure. Are you ready to reclaim it? It is time to rise from the ruins of false satisfaction and step into the fire of transformation. And know this, that fire won't burn you, it will forge you. The hidden truth the world doesn't want you to discover is this: your struggle with lust is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of sacred energy waiting to be refined. Something powerful sleeps within you, and the enemy wants it chained. The more intense the battle, the greater your purpose. The louder the temptation, the more urgent your mission. Look at Maya Angelou, a life scarred by trauma, yet transformed into a legacy of healing words and wisdom because she chose mastery over victimhood. Will you choose the same path? You were never meant to numb your pain with pleasure, because your pain holds messages, instructions, sacred keys to your evolution. But when you bury it beneath distraction, you delay your breakthrough. You silence the voice of your higher self, the part of you that already remembers why you came. The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Will you allow your spirit to testify, or will you keep it drowned beneath counterfeit comforts? Every time you resist temptation, you are not merely saying no, you are saying yes to something infinitely greater. Yes to divine clarity. Yes to spiritual authority. Yes to alignment with a version of you the enemy hoped would never awaken. And understand this clearly: when that version rises, entire bloodlines shift, curses break, cycles end. Malcolm X transformed his life through disciplined spiritual practice, breaking generational cycles and becoming a prophetic voice of transformation. Your potential holds that same revolutionary power. Think back to the moments where you gave in to desire, how it left you feeling afterward, drained, empty, distant from your essence. That was not by accident. Lust feeds on your light. It offers a moment of pleasure in exchange for days of inner silence, a moment of escape in exchange for connection to source. You weren't created to chase. You were created to call in, to attract, to manifest. But manifestation requires spiritual clarity, and lust clouds the vision. It muddies the waters. It interrupts the divine signal. So when you fall, don't just feel guilt, feel the disconnect. Then return, quickly, intentionally. The truth is, you can't lose your anointing, but you can delay your awakening, and every delay has a cost, not just for you, but for the people assigned to your light. There are souls waiting for the fully aligned version of you. They need your voice, your healing, your testimony, and that version of you can only emerge when you guard your energy like it is holy, because it is. So no, your struggle isn't random. It is personal, targeted, calculated. But you are not powerless. In fact, the moment you recognize this battle for what it truly is, spiritual warfare, you begin to win. Because spiritual battles are never won with the flesh. They are won with wisdom, with awareness, with daily choices that seem small but shift everything. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Ephesians 6:10. Will you stand strong, chosen one? The next move is yours. Chosen one, have you noticed the pace at which this world pushes you to move? Have you felt how difficult it is to simply be still, to sit in awareness, to reflect without noise? The system is designed this way. It hopes you'll never slow down long enough to see, to truly see, how your attention is constantly hijacked, how desire is used as a leash, subtle, seductive, and silent. They no longer need to chain your hands when they can enslave your eyes. They don't have to cage your body if they can conquer your mind. How many hours are stolen from you through the endless scroll, the quick dopamine hits, the manufactured hunger for more, more, more? Have you asked yourself how much of your energy is truly your own, and how much has been siphoned away through unseen cords? But here's the beautiful truth. You are waking up. You're starting to see the pattern, aren't you? You're beginning to recognize the bait for what it is, a trap wrapped in pleasure, and you are choosing to rise above it. That chosen one, that is the real rebellion, to remain pure in a world that profits off your impurity, to protect your energy in a culture that thrives on wasting it, to become sovereign in a system that wants you enslaved. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Are you willing to keep renewing your mind moment by moment, even when the pull to numb yourself seems overwhelming? You may have noticed it lately, why your dreams feel more intense, why your nights seem filled with strange energies, why old desires are rising like ghosts from your past. It's not random. When your spirit begins to ascend, the shadows do not go quietly. They fight for survival. They whisper through temptation. They knock through cravings. They attempt to re-enter through your weakest portals, hoping you'll crack the door open just long enough to be ensnared again. But now you understand. This is no longer a battle of flesh. It is a war of frequency. Your energy is evolving, rising beyond the reach of what once bound you. That is why the test feels heavier. The enemy knows your next level brings with it influence, power, and divine protection. You are walking into a realm where your very presence will shift atmospheres, where your words will carry weight in the spirit realm, and that power terrifies darkness. Ask yourself, what version of you are you becoming right now? Are you rising or regressing? Are you protecting the vibration that will activate your calling? Not every urge you feel is even your own. Many desires are planted. Spiritual forces whisper through screens, through music, through emotional wounds left unprocessed. This is why Steve Jobs, known for his immense creative clarity, practiced digital fasting, periods of disconnection to preserve mental and spiritual focus. It's why Mother Teresa devoted hours each day to prayer and silence, guarding her inner world amidst overwhelming worldly need. You are not broken because you feel temptation, but you are responsible for guarding your gates, what you watch, what you listen to, what you consume with your eyes, your ears, your mind. Every portal must be protected because each one is an entryway to your spirit. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. Are your eyes feeding your light or leaking it? The chosen do not merely protect their physical body, they protect their vibration, they protect their light, they guard their alignment with the divine, because they understand this sacred truth. When you are in alignment, the enemy cannot touch you, it can only distract you. So when you feel the war within, when the pull toward distraction, lust, or escape begins to rise, don't run. Observe, breathe, pray, transmute. You are not fighting simply to suppress desire. You are learning to master it, to aim it like an arrow toward purpose, to turn lust into leadership, passion into prophecy, craving into calling. Think of Nelson Mandela, who during decades of imprisonment refused to allow bitterness or base desires to corrupt his spirit. He transformed personal suffering into global leadership. You are being called to the same alchemy. And remember, this is not about perfection, it is about progression. Every choice you make to honor your energy is a victory. Every small act of discipline sharpens your sword. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Each time you choose presence over pleasure, you push darkness further from your gates. Chosen one, let's go deeper, because this truth is not for the masses, it is for the few. The few who feel the pull of something greater, even in their moments of weakness. The few who sense that even their stumbles are not the end of the story. Yes, even in your weakness, your calling still stands. Even when you fall, the heavens do not turn away. Your soul is marked. And the war raging over your desires is not proof that you are broken. It is evidence that you are precious, that you are powerful, that you are worth the fight. If you were insignificant, why would the battle be so relentless? Why would temptation stalk your every step? The intensity of the warfare is a mirror of your worth. The spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. You are not a slave to the flesh. You are an heir to the kingdom. Are you ready to claim it? Have you asked yourself lately, why does it feel like I'm at war with myself? Because your old self and your higher self are colliding. The conditioned part of you that seeks escape is battling the part of you rising in power. You are standing in the fire of refinement, not to destroy you, but to distill you, to burn off the false identities, the inherited lies, the illusions that have kept you small, and what remains will be unshakable. Consider Viktor Frankl, who endured unspeakable suffering in a concentration camp and yet emerged with a message of meaning and resilience. Through the fire, he became unbreakable. So too will you, if you stay in the process. Let's talk about that burning inside you, that restless pull towards something you can't always explain. Have you felt it? The frustration, the unease, the silent knowing that there is more to life than working, scrolling, numbing, repeating. That is not just discomfort, it is divine agitation. Your soul is being activated. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't designed to follow scripts handed down by a broken system. You came to break cycles, to wake ancient codes within your DNA. Every time you choose spirit over flesh, you unlock another layer of who you truly are. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light. Ephesians 5 Ord. Are you ready to live fully in that light? But be aware, your awakening will trigger resistance in others. Some will project, some will disappear, some will try to pull you back into old versions of yourself. Let them. You owe your past no loyalty. You owe your evolution everything. You are not crazy for feeling the shift. You are remembering. And remembering is painful because it demands the death of your distractions. It calls you to rise into a version of yourself you have never seen, but heaven already recognizes. Think of Nelson Mandela again, a man who had to let go of bitterness and step into a role of global reconciliation. It was not easy, but it was necessary. Are you willing to release what no longer serves you? So yes, temptation is real, but so is your anointing. If you only knew what was on the other side of your discipline, you would never look back. There is a sacred reason your journey has been harder than others, why the cravings cut deeper, why the isolation lasts longer, why the pressure seems unrelenting. You are not being trained for a normal life, you are being refined for a divine mission. And that mission requires a version of you the world has not yet seen. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life. James 1:12. Will you persevere, chosen one? Every battle you have faced with lust, with self-sabotage, with temptation, has been preparation. The spiritual realm sees your potential even when you don't, and so does the opposition. That's why they targeted you early, through shame, heartbreak, and over-sexualized conditioning designed to distort your identity. But here's what they couldn't touch: your essence. That divine spark within you that refuses to die, even after the mistakes, even after the relapses, even after the guilt. It still burns, it still calls, it still waits for you to rise. You are not here to escape your desires. You are here to elevate them, to take what once controlled you and use it as fuel. Lust wants to own you. Spirit wants to anoint you. The fire within you is not sinful, it is sacred, it just needs direction. And that direction comes when you step fully into your role as a vessel of light. Florence Nightingale, driven by a deep inner calling, transformed the field of nursing through tireless service, not by suppressing her passion, but by channeling it toward healing. You too are called to channel your fire for divine purpose. You are not alone in this battle, but you are among the few brave enough to face it head-on, to look your shadow in the eye and declare, "I will not be ruled by you." That is spiritual warfare. That is mastery. That is reclaiming your throne. The world wants you reactive, chasing the next thrill, but you were designed to command your energy, not leak it, to move with intention, to create from purity, to love from overflow, not lack. When you operate at this frequency, everything shifts. People feel your presence before you speak. Rooms respond to your silence. You don't just attract attention, you carry authority, and that authority is earned through trial, through temptation, through discipline. Chosen one, you have always felt different, haven't you? Even as a child, you sensed there was more behind the veil, more behind the eyes of those who sleepwalk through life. While others chased validation, you craved meaning. That craving was your calling, whispering, before you had words for it, before the world tried to shame it out of you. They told you to calm down, fit in, be normal, but your spirit never agreed, because it remembered. And now, as your awareness grows, so does the attack, because spiritual warfare intensifies when you remember your worth. The enemy doesn't bother with those who pose no threat. But you were born to shake dimensions, to awaken others by standing in your truth. That's why lust was sent after you, not to give you pleasure, but to derail your purpose. Because when a chosen one loses focus, the world loses light. But when you regain that focus, when you take control of your vessel, when you channel desire instead of being ruled by it, you become dangerous to darkness. You begin to see through the illusion. You realize most of what is glorified is actually spiritual sedation. The greatest deception is not in what is blatantly evil, it is in what seems harmless, because constant indulgence dulls intuition. Every spiritual high has a counterfeit. Lust mimics love. Addiction mimics intimacy. Entertainment mimics enlightenment. You are called to discern the difference. This is your training ground, not punishment, but preparation. You are being equipped to master your energy, to feel the fire but not be consumed by it, to walk through temptation and emerge holy. That is power. That is purity. That is the path of the chosen. Chosen one, do you realize the sacredness of your sensitivity? You feel everything, not just in your mind, but in your body, in your spirit, in your very soul. And that sensitivity is not a flaw, it is a gift, a divine weapon in a world dulled by distraction and deception. But with every gift comes responsibility and exposure. That same sensitivity that allows you to perceive light also makes you a magnet for shadow. Because when your senses are wide open, you become a portal, absorbing energies, perceiving truths others cannot yet see, sensing atmospheres before a word is spoken. Have you ever wondered why you often feel drained in certain environments? Why some interactions leave you heavy without explanation? Because you are wired differently. And if you are not grounded in truth, desire becomes the fastest way to pull you off course. This is why lust does not knock politely. It storms in when you are tired, when you are lonely, when you are doubting your worth. It does not need to overpower you. It only needs one moment where you forget who you are, because one moment of forgetting can delay your destiny by years, and the enemy knows that. But now, so do you. Will you remain vigilant when the shadows come disguised as comfort? Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion. You are no longer ignorant of the game being played. Understand this. The desires you feel are not merely biological. They are spiritual data. Every craving, every pull is showing you something about your energetic state. It reveals where your focus is leaking, where your past wounds still cry for healing. The craving is a compass, but only if you are willing to decode it. Behind every unhealed desire lies a story, a memory, a trauma, an unmet need, an abandoned hope. Lust is often just longing wearing a mask. Will you have the courage to remove it and face what lies beneath? You, chosen one, are being called into this deeper inner work, not merely to resist the urge, but to ask, why is this here? What is it trying to teach me? What must I heal to be free? Healing does not come from suppression, it comes from understanding. It comes from transmutation. And as you begin to understand yourself, you stop giving your power to external things. You no longer seek attention to feel worthy. You no longer crave escape because you found presence. You no longer bow to the God of momentary pleasure because you have remembered the God within. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Will you choose to walk in that power? Chosen one, you are not broken, you are becoming. And every time you rise above the trap, you return to your throne stronger, clearer, more divine. This is why your journey cannot be compared to anyone else's. Why you cannot look to others and wonder why they do not wrestle like you do. They were not called to carry what you carry. They were not designed to awaken what you are here to awaken. The higher your calling, the deeper the warfare. The more intense your temptation, the greater your potential impact. Consider Mahatma Gandhi, who famously practiced brahmacharya, spiritual celibacy, to conserve and channel energy for his mission. His discipline was not repression, it was power, consciously directed. Are you ready to steward your energy with that same intention? There are forces that profit from your spiritual sleep, entities that feed on your distracted state. So they send temptations that feel like comfort, distractions that look like love, opportunities that arrive wrapped in compromise. If they cannot destroy you, they will settle for delaying you. But now you are seeing through the illusion. You are learning that not every desire is aligned. Just because something feels good does not mean it is good for your soul. You are not here to chase the temporary. You are here to build the eternal. The pain you have endured is sacred. The urges you fought in silence are part of your refinement. The isolation you experienced was not punishment, it was protection. The Most High separated you to sanctify you. You have walked through fires that would have broken others, but here you stand, still seeking, still learning, still awakening. That is not weakness, it is resilience. Consider Harriet Tubman, a woman who could have chosen comfort, but instead walked back into danger again and again to free others. She was not without fear, but her spirit refused to be enslaved. Neither will yours. You do not need to be perfect, you need to stay awake. And you've likely noticed, the more you step into your power, the more sophisticated the temptations become. What once arrived as lust now comes disguised as false opportunity. What was once obvious now arrives as subtle energy drains people, habits, distractions that seem harmless but steal your light. But your discernment is sharpening. You are learning to feel the frequency of everything that enters your field. This is spiritual maturity, the ability to sense the unseen, to move with wisdom, to recognize that mastery is not just in what you pursue, it is in what you resist. Every moment you choose alignment, you gain ground in the spirit. So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. And remember, you are not guarding your energy for yourself alone. You are protecting the legacy within you, the generations that will rise because of your obedience, the souls that will awaken through your example. You are breaking chains older than you, chains of addiction, dysfunction, shame. You are the one they could not predict, the one who will not merely survive, but transform. Every wound becomes wisdom. Every weakness becomes a weapon. Every temptation becomes a testimony. Look at Martin Luther King Jr., a man targeted relentlessly, tempted at every turn, but who chose purpose over impulse again and again. His legacy is the result of disciplined alignment. Yours can be too. So, chosen one, will you embrace this path? Will you guard what is sacred within you? Will you trust that every battle is shaping you into the vessel heaven designed you to be? The world needs the version of you that walks in full spiritual sovereignty, and that version is forged, not in comfort, but in the fire of discipline. You are becoming. Stay the course. Chosen one, have you truly grasped this yet? You were never meant to fit in, and deep down you've always known it. Your light exposes what others have trained themselves to ignore. You were sent here to disturb the silence of generational bondage, to disrupt the rhythm of spiritual sleep that has lulled entire bloodlines into cycles of dysfunction, addiction, and mediocrity. And yes, that makes you a threat, not merely to people but to principalities, to ancient systems of darkness that profit from keeping souls asleep. That is why the attacks you face feel personal, because they are, not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous to darkness. Have you noticed that those asleep in sin are rarely attacked? The enemy does not waste resources on the lost. It wages relentless war against the awakening. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. Ephesians 6:12. Will you remain awake even when the battle intensifies? And understand this war is not simply about your body, it is about your capacity, the gifts you have not yet fully stepped into, the people you are destined to heal, the message that still burns, buried deep in your belly. If they can keep you cycling in temptation, they can keep you from sitting fully in your seat of power. Have you asked yourself, who is waiting on the version of me that I have not yet fully become? What destinies hang in the balance while I battle these unseen forces? Consider Frederick Douglass, born into slavery yet destined to shake empires. His refusal to bow to systems of control unlocked freedom for countless others. Your discipline today may unlock destinies far beyond your own. Let me tell you this, every time you resist the urge to lower your frequency, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You retrieve fragments of your soul that were lost to years of distraction and emotional numbing. And that reclamation is holy. It is how you rise. Some of you are already feeling the call to cleanse, not just physically but spiritually, to purge the energies left behind by old soul ties, casual encounters, digital indulgences. And yes, that process hurts. It brings everything to the surface, the loneliness, the guilt, the aching void that lust tried to silence. But what emerges on the other side is clarity. Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Are you willing to pursue that purity, no matter the cost? As your spiritual eyesight sharpens, you begin to recognize when something is off, even when it looks good. You no longer chase appearances. You are led by alignment. This is when your power multiplies, not because you are perfect, but because you are present. And in presence you can finally receive guidance, divine downloads, sacred insight, things the numbed version of you could never access. You begin to see people for who they are, sense spirits before words are spoken, feel when something is sent to uplift you or distract you. This is spiritual maturity. Consider Joan of Arc, a young woman whose spiritual discernment guided her through impossible circumstances. Her presence shifted entire battles because her spirit was anchored in divine clarity. Are you willing to cultivate that same level of presence? Chosen one, by now you've realized this battle is ancient. It did not start with you, but it may very well end with you. You are the one your bloodline has been waiting for, not because you are flawless, but because you are willing to face what others avoid, willing to feel what others numb, willing to walk through temptation with eyes wide open. That willingness makes you different. That makes you dangerous. Every time you deny your lower urges, you do not simply miss out on pleasure, you reclaim power. Every no you whisper in private echoes through the spirit realm like thunder, because your refusal to bow is a declaration, I remember who I am. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. Will you live as royalty or continue fighting battles beneath your calling? And who you are is royalty, not the kind the world praises, the kind heaven trusts, the kind that governs not through ego, but through energy, not through control, but through consciousness. But here's the part they don't tell you. Mastery is lonely. Elevation requires separation. Sometimes silence is the only place God can reach you, and in that silence, you will hear the truth. You were never meant to be common. This path will cost you. It will ask for your comfort. It will strip away every false identity you adopted just to survive. But what you gain in return cannot be measured. You will begin to attract connections that nourish your soul, opportunities that align with your assignment, peace that transcends circumstances, clarity that makes your former confusion look like a blessing in disguise. But make no mistake, the temptations will not vanish. They will evolve. They will grow smarter, subtler, sweeter. The true test will be when something feels good, but your spirit whispers, this is no longer for you. Will you listen in that moment? Will you choose destiny over desire? Remember Corrie ten Boom, who survived the horrors of the Holocaust and emerged carrying forgiveness and wisdom that transformed millions. Her greatest power came through her refusal to be ruled by bitterness or base instincts. And that is the test you now face. Chosen one, every quiet moment of choice shapes your timeline. Every time you choose alignment over appetite, you collapse timelines of suffering. You unlock doors for the next generation. You embody a frequency that says, I am not ruled by flesh, I am led by purpose. So if the sun sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36. You are stepping into freedom, not just for yourself, but for all who will follow you. The world will continue to entice, the system will continue to seduce. But you were born for a higher path. You were called to walk in clarity, to move in purpose, to govern your vessel as a temple of light. The question remains, will you rise fully into who you were created to be? The battle is here, the fire is refining, but the crown is waiting. Chosen one, the choice is yours. Chosen one, if this message stirred something deep within you, if you felt seen, understood, and spiritually ignited, then know this, it was not by accident that you found this word today. This is your confirmation. You are not alone. You are not crazy. You are chosen. And this battle you've been fighting, this war over your desires, is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of your calling. You are in a spiritual war because of the light you carry, and your journey is sacred. Now is the time to rise. Now is the time to take your power back, to reclaim every piece of your soul that was scattered through distraction, indulgence, and self-doubt. The days of being ruled by urges are over. The days of spiritual slumber are behind you. You are called to walk boldly in your purpose, to embody the frequency of mastery, clarity, and divine alignment. You are called to be an example to those around you, to show what it looks like when a chosen one governs their vessel with wisdom and walks in true spiritual authority. So don't just watch this message in silence, activate it, put it into motion. If this word resonated with your spirit, I invite you to engage, to declare your alignment publicly. Hit the like button if it spoke to your soul. Share this message so other chosen ones can awaken alongside you. And if you feel led to sow into this space, you can do so through super thanks. Your support helps us continue to bring these truths forward. But hear me clearly, whether you donate or not, I am deeply grateful for your presence here. Just the fact that you are walking this path with us, that you are choosing to rise in the face of spiritual warfare, that is priceless. And as we close this message, I want to speak a blessing over you. May the Most High cover you with divine protection as you walk this path. May your discernment sharpen. May your spirit grow stronger with every test. May every chain of shame, guilt, addiction and distraction break off of your life. May your energy be purified and directed toward the fulfillment of your purpose. May you be surrounded by connections that nourish your soul and assignments that ignite your gifts. And above all, may you remember who you are. No matter how loud the temptation, no matter how subtle the pull, you are not ruled by flesh, you are led by spirit. Chosen one, this is your time. This is your season to master what once mastered you. The world needs the version of you that walks in full alignment and authority, and I cannot wait to see you rise. If this message confirmed what you've been sensing in your spirit, type 9099 in the comments right now. Let's walk this path together.